under fire after these comments.
Not far from here, such marches, even now, are being met with bullets. But not here in this country, Mr Speaker. Not here in this country.
I really think that Scott Morrison just doesn't get it.
And after fronting the media...
Running off that way, guys.
Reluctantly, today, this defence.
I think the observation about the opportunity to protest peacefully and safely in Australia is an important one.
Payne did acknowledge that more action needs to be taken.
But for parliamentarians who are the leaders in this place, our role now, in my view, is to own the problems, to own the failings as well, and most importantly, to own the solutions.
But what form that solution might take, that crucial detail seemed to get lost in the noise.
The power, the anger, the feeling that people's voices are not being heard, that's what the Prime Minister is not acknowledging. And
the same Prime Minister that opened his door...
Are you going to talk over me on this? Are you really going to talk over me on this issue?
The Prime Minister that invited those representatives...
Ben, we're talking about respect for women in this workplace. Are you going to talk over me?
And in question time, the noise became deafening.
Why doesn't the Prime Minister listen to those who marched and take real action on gendered violence?
Why did the Prime Minister not seek the Solicitor General's advice before he declared that the rule of law would be harmed by an independent inquiry into sexual assault allegations?
Why does the Prime Minister still have a don't ask, don't tell policy?
The Labor Party is simply trying to exact political opportunity from the terrible trauma and circumstances that staff face in this office, Mr Speaker. But when they're standing in glass houses, they should not be throwing these types of stones.
Amy Remeikis joins us now from Parliament House. Amy, so the government's lack of response was slammed pretty widely yesterday. Saw what went on in Parliament there, but also Marise Payne's comments today. Did they do any better today?
I'm not sure if they did any better, and I'm not sure how much people took in at home, but there was a lot of defensiveness today. The explanation from the Prime Minister about why he was talking about how great it is to live in a liberal democracy where you don't get shot at because of protests was because he's been concentrating on the Myanmar situation, and that's where his head was really at. But I don't think that people really wanted that. They just wanted somebody to say, we listen to you, we've acknowledged what you're saying, and we want to learn how to do better, and I don't think we got that today.
Amy, I feel like yesterday was the culmination of so much rage for so many women and their allies. So I guess by not responding more sympathetically today, has the government made things worse?
I don't know how much worse you can make this situation because it's real life for a lot of people, and I think that is what the government is still missing, that this is not political, this is actually real life. As Brittany Higgins said yesterday, it's not a political issue, it's a human one. I think that by turning it on Labor, which has also had allegations raised against it by people who work within the Labor Party, the government was trying to say that, you know what, everyone is pretty terrible at this, but that's actually the point. There needs to be some action, there needs to be some change, and so far I think people are just hearing excuses.
So what is that action, Amy? What does the government need to do?
I think, first of all, it probably needs to listen. I think it actually needs to take stock and say this is what people want. And I don't just mean meeting with delegations or paying attention to the marches as important as they are. I think it's actually listening to how much people want change to happen and responding to that. So, yes, we have inquiries. Yes, we have policies that are being put into place. But we're still waiting on a response to the Respect at Work report that was done about a year ago. We're still waiting for some answers on how the government does plan on moving forward with the Christian Porter allegations, which of course he denies. But I think really people want to know that they are being listened to, and you don't necessarily need a piece of paper to prove that.
You mentioned the argy-bargy in Parliament and the Labor side of things in that today. We saw really at the end of the package, Scott Morrison was effectively accusing Labor of politicising this issue. Do you think there's something to that criticism?
I think that because all of this is being played out in Parliament, politics absolutely is getting involved. And I think that Labor has been very, very careful to sort of acknowledge that there are being issues raised on their side of politics, but at the same time, they're sort of trying to move on from them as well by saying we're dealing with those with the processes that we have in place, and people should come forward if they've got issues. The point is, though, that I'm pretty sure everybody at home is sick of the politics, and they don't want to hear politicians talking about politics. They actually just want to hear that it's going to be addressed. There were legitimate questions that were raised today that we didn't get answers to. We got a lot of defensiveness, and I think that's what people are getting sick of.
Amy, thank you very much for your time tonight.
Thank you.
With so much content online, it's sometimes hard to keep up with it all. And let's face it, who has the time? The Project YouTube has you covered with the stories that matter. Hit subscribe for a daily list of the news that you need to know.